Hey, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. I'm going to tell this story by myself today because my grandson would like to watch a little TV. So we just finished off reading the whole book, Duger, the Grasshopper Hound. So that's 3 books that we have read out of the D.J. Dillon Adventure series. First we read Hair Pulling Bear Dog. Let me see the order of them. I forgot. Hair Pulling Bear Dog. Then we read City Bear's Adventures. Then Duger the Grasshopper Hound. And now we're on book 4, The Ghost Dog of Stony Ridge. Wow. So we have really enjoyed this series. My boys have all enjoyed it, and now my grandsons do. And I hope that you are too. So let's just go ahead and get started. And this is kind of what it looks like. I know the words are backwards. Let's see how I can do this. There you go. See what the boy's pointing at there? All right. So, Chapter 1, A Voice from the Shadows. Sometimes it seemed trouble came looking for 13-year-old D.J. Dillon. He and his friend, Alfred Milford, were cutting through the evergreens towards a lake at the 3,500-foot level of the Sierra Nevada mountains where they lived. Now, 3,500 is pretty high. They will get quite a lot of snow. They took turns helping each other crawl carefully through a triple strand of barbed wire fence around a tall ponderosa. We talked about what barbed wire fence is and how I don't really like it, but it is fencing that will have something stick out, a piece of sharp wire every so often. And then if you have cattle or some sort of animal like that, if they push against that fence, ow! So they don't like to push against it, which is why some people do like it. And they do it in lines across instead of a solid fence. So those boys were separating it. Can you see that? So they could squeeze in between. All right. Suddenly a man's voice hailed them from the deep shade. Why are you? Hey, you 2 kids. What are you doing on this property? DJ's blue eyes darted around. He probed the heavy shadows of the conifers, trying to find a man. So he's looking through the evergreen trees. Alfred, a year younger than DJ, so he would have been 12, was doing the same thing. When neither of them saw anybody, DJ cleared his throat and raised his voice. We're just trying to get to Sudden Lake. Well, you can't get there from here. Now get! Alfred had been glancing around. He called, I don't see any signs saying this is private property. You smart alecky kid. I'll show you something better than signs. There was a metallic, that's metal, click, like a rifle being cocked. The 2 friends exchanged quick glances. Wordlessly, they jumped back through the fence. DJ, they each had taken turns holding up the wire so they could get through. Then they let the wire go and sprinted along the pine needle path they'd been following from Stony Ridge. I just feel like I've got this all wrong. That's better. The boys yelled after them, "Don't you ever come poking around here again if you want to stay healthy." When the boys had run a quarter mile or so, they stopped to catch their breath. DJ collapsed against a great trunk of a ponderosa pine tree that towered above him. "Why are we running?" he asked, breathing hard and fast. "We didn't do anything wrong." Alfred was gulping air, but managed to gasp, I don't know, but running seemed like a good idea." "Did you see anybody back there?" DJ asked, holding his side, which had developed a twitch. "No," Alfred managed to say. He slid down against the trunk of a sugar pine until he was sitting on the ground. The conifer didn't have any limbs until way up near the top, but he sure sounded mean, said Alfred. "Wonder why he wouldn't let us pass through to the lake," DJ mused, glancing back towards the way that they had run. "I don't know, but I wasn't going to stick around long enough to find out," Alfred exclaimed. He used his right thumb to push his thick glasses higher up on the bridge of his nose. "He could have really hurt us." DJ said thoughtfully, "Yeah, seems strange. The fence is new. The property is not posted with keep out or no trespassing signs. So why did he run us off? I don't know, maybe he's just crabby." "I don't think so. Most crabby people wouldn't use a gun to scare off two kids." Both boys were quiet until DJ said, "Remember that story in the Gazette last week? Do you think that man back there has something to do with the fish that are dying in Sudden Lake?" "Oh, I don't know. I doubt it. But DJ," Alfred answered, "if you're thinking of going down that lake to dig up some facts for your newspaper story, you're crazy. That man'll shoot you the next time you're up here. Winning a writing prize just isn't worth it." "Sure it is, Alfred." DJ stood up and ran his tanned brown hands over the unruly blonde hair which spilled over his forehead. "I'll have my story in a national magazine, plus win a cash prize too. I could buy a typewriter with that money. All of us authors have to have a typewriter." "You haven't won yet, DJ." Alfred pushed himself to his feet. "I'm going to win or die trying," DJ said firmly, staring back towards the place where they'd been scared off. "That's what I'm afraid of," Alfred replied gravely. "And what scares me is I might be with you when it happens." When the two friends got to Alfred's home at the little logging community of Stony Ridge, they decided not to tell their parents about the man with the gun. Tag, Alfred's little brother, was playing with the flop-eared dog named Duger. Tag's rumpled dark curls bobbed as he looked up. "Mom says you can have the rest of the pie," Tag told Alfred. Alfred nodded and led the way back up the steep front steps to the front porch. DJ followed him in the coolness of the little house. In the kitchen, Alfred opened the refrigerator and handed out the remainder of an apple pie. DJ had been there often enough that he knew where to find a knife and 2 forks. He cut the pie as evenly as possible, then gave his friend the first choice after Alfred finished pouring 2 glasses of milk. DJ, I've been thinking, Alfred began, sitting at the kitchen table and cutting off the point of his pie with the fork. DJ groaned and rolled his eyes upward. Oh no. Don't kid around, DJ. I'll make you a deal. DJ chewed thoughtfully for a moment. Yeah? Yeah. You help me find a hound and I'll help you get your prize-winning story. You got a hound. DJ waved the fork toward the front room in the direction of Tag and Duger. You know that bloodhound and redbone cross belongs to my little brother? They're crazy about each other. I want a hound of my own, like your dog. DJ took another bite, thinking of Hero. He hadn't wanted a scruffy, hair-pulling dog when he'd first seen him at Boot Malone's. The trader had talked DJ's father into taking the mutt as part of the deal for several hounds. DJ's grandfather had first named the mixed breed dog Zero because he was as near to nothing as I've ever seen, Grandpa had said. The mutt had been afraid of bears. But when Zero risked his life to save DJ from the mad mother bear, the boy had changed the dog's name to Hero. The mixed hound, Airedale, an Australian Shepherd, had turned out to be the greatest dog a mountain boy could want. So DJ could understand why Alfred wanted a hound too. I've got to win that prize, DJ said firmly. It's not enough to have my stories in the Gazette and be a stringer for them. I've got to get in that national magazine. He reached for his right hip pocket and pulled out the paper again. It says right here, and it's open only to kids up to age 15. And it has to be an environmental subject. And the deadline is September. I know all that, DJ interrupted impatiently. I've read that 1,000 times. Now the best story we've got around here is why those fish are dying in the lake. DJ broke in. Mr. Kirsten, the editor, says the water from that lake is what people drink down in the valley. And if it's something killing the fish, then sooner or later those people might be in danger too. Okay, DJ, you've got an environmental story idea and a mystery, but you'll have to have help finding out what's killing those fish. And I've got to have help finding a hound of my own. Can we make a deal? Deal, DJ said, putting his fork down and shaking his friend's hand. The first thing we better do is go to Boot Malone and see if he can fix you up with a good hound dog. Alfred shook his head. My father says you couldn't trust Boot Malone with an old alley cat you wanted to lose. Then we'll take my grandfather with us, DJ said quickly. He's about the only one around these parts smooth enough to outslicker Boot Malone. Grandpa Dillon was sitting on the front porch where DJ lived with his father, his new stepmother he called Two Mom, and his stepsister, 9-year-old Priscilla. Her father had been killed in a logging accident a few years ago, and DJ's mother had died in a traffic accident. Dad and Two Mom had married at Easter, making one family out of two. Grandpa had only moved in about a month ago after a forest fire had destroyed his old rented house on the outskirts of Stony Ridge. Grandpa had always been a feisty little man with a quick temper. He'd made a Christian commitment some months back and was trying his best to live according to the Bible now. But as DJ neared the porch, it was plain that Grandpa was having troubles. "Dad blamed contraption," the old man bellowed. He had been trying to rock in the new plastic and chrome rocking chair from the hardware store in Indian Springs, the county seat. "Won't rock. Won't give a body no comfort. Won't do nothing but aggravate the stuffing out of a man." Grandpa picked up his black thorn cane he called the Irish shillelagh and gave the chair legs a solid whack. "Too blasted bad my old rocker had to burn in that forest fire." DJ stopped at the top step and smiled at his grandfather. "Still can't break in that new chair right? Huh, Grandpa? Can't ride it without spurs. And even then it's not worth the powder to blow it up. DJ, I'd give my eye teeth to have my old red rocker back. That cane bottom chair fit me perfect. Took me years to get it broke in just right. I'm sorry this chair's not working out for you, Grandpa. You remember my friend Alfred?" The old man squinted over the top of his bifocals. Then pounded his cane on the porch floor. "By doggies, Alfred, my grandson sets a great deal of store by you. Best friend he's ever had, he says. Now, if you was to have known DJ back a couple years ago, when his mother had just died and before he had a hair-pulling bear dog, when you met him, well, now, Grandpa," DJ interrupted, knowing the old man was getting wound up and might say something that would embarrass him. "Alfred needs your help in swapping a hound with Boots Malone." "Boot Malone?" Grandpa's tone made it sound like a cuss word. "That Boot Maloney is as crooked as a dog's hind leg." "Whoops!" The old man rolled his eyes heavenward. "Oh. Sorry, Lord. I'm trying not to judge, but that old Maloney character is as close to a snuff-dipping, tobacco-spitting, no-account person as I've ever known. Of course, I know you could touch his black heart and make him change like you did my son Sam and me, but—" "Mr. Dillon," Alfred broke in, "I got just one request when we trade for my hound." Grandpa frowned. "What's that?" "I want one of those ball-mouth hounds that I've read about." Let's see what a ball-mouth hound is. Oh, that's not ball-mouth. Bugle-mouth, sorry. A hunter's term for a hound with a rare baying voice that is so good it's said to sound like a bugle. "You mean a genuine, bona fide bugle-mouth? Why, them as rare as apples on a peach tree." "I've followed hounds for a long time. Sam, DJ's father, has too. I can't never recollect but one time I heard such a hound. But a man never forgets a sound like that. Why, I could still hear it, plain as day, in my mind. Music like silver bugles in the moonlight. Can't nothing compare with it, unless maybe when Gabriel blows the horn for us believers." "Grandpa," DJ broke in, "will you go with us to see what Boot Malone's got in the way of a hound for Alfred?" The old man clicked his false teeth together so hard it sounded like a snappy bear trap. "May as well, I guess. A body can't get no rest here in this confounded thing your new mom calls a chair. Wait, I'll get my hat, boys." Grandpa didn't drive much, and when he did, he always scared DJ half to death. But Grandpa got mad if anybody mentioned how close he'd come to hitting something, or how he didn't seem to see another car coming from the side. DJ said a little prayer while the old man steered his son's pickup out of town in the rural countryside. As they passed a garage sale sign, Grandpa suddenly slammed on the brakes and whipped the pickup over sharply. "DJ, did you see that?" "See what?" "I could have sworn that's my old red rocker back there on that man's lawn. Come on, let's find out." DJ and Alfred had to run to keep up with Grandpa, who limped along pretty fast with the aid of his cane. The minute DJ saw the rocker, he knew it was Grandpa's. And that meant Grandpa was going to be hard to hold when he got up to the man sitting in his chair. The man stopped rocking and called, "Howdy, mister." "Howdy, boys. Look around and make me an offer on anything you would like." Suddenly, DJ turned and glanced at Alfred. DJ knew his friend was thinking the exact same thing. That was the same voice that had run them out of the woods. You know, the one that threatened to shoot them? Wow, that's a surprise. That's a big surprise. So that's the end of the story for tonight. And I'm reading it a little bit early today because I'm going to get to go pick up my son, Stephen. I haven't seen him in over 2 years, so I'm not sure if I'll get to read tomorrow night or not. So I thought I would do it tonight, just in case. So tomorrow's story will be a mystery car. Man, these guys live an adventurous life. A mystery car. I wonder what that's about. And I wonder who that man is that's having the garage sale and why he threatened those boys. Well, we'll be finding out more tomorrow. I just want to tell you, I love you. I really, really do. But even more important than that, God loves you, and He always will. So, whether you're watching this in the day or the night, I hope you enjoyed this story. The beginning of our new book, The Ghost Dog. So we'll find out what that all means. And I just want to say good night for now. God bless you, and I'll be reading again either tomorrow night or the night after. Okay, good night. God bless.